Questions for Coach White?
Well, everybody else has been asked this week. How's Sawyer's arm?
I have no idea. That's the wrong person to ask.
Apparently everybody's the wrong person.
Brad, how did you use the off week? What did you stress over the off week?
Well, we went back to fundamentals, and I say went back. It's always about fundamentals. It's always about technique. But the nice thing about the bye week is that when you're not game planning, you can keep calls, really simple, sort of base install stuff. You can see guys that, maybe haven't gotten as many reps. Once the season started, you get to see how, they perform, how they've progressed over the first month of the season. Whether they're over on card team or whether they were on our field, but just getting limited reps with twos. You can see more reps with those guys. And it was good. It was good to sort of go back to ground zero and just re-energize, refresh, get back to what defense is all about. It's about playing hard, playing physical. The energy, the juice this week's been good. So you can see they got a little bit in their step. It was a grind for those first 5 weeks, and the bye came at a good time for us, and we got to get ready to go for Saturday.
The down lineman, who would you say is the leader of the group? The down lineman.
You know what? I'd say, either Calvin or TJ, in that group. They do a good job, and again, I think Q's really started to elevate and, become a little bit more vocal. And those are the three that you want to. Those are your three starters. They need to lead the guys behind them. They need to lead our entire defense. And, they're getting there. Everything's a process.
Calvin lead more by example too, as well as vocal.
Yeah, Calvin probably a little bit more by example, but Calvin's not afraid to tell somebody if they need to toe the line a little bit, and that's what he needs to do. I think everybody respects him not only as a person but as a player, and the more of that we get, the better.
Coach Aaron and JJ and those redshirt guys in your position, how have they progressed as you got a longer look at them last week?
They're getting there, and we've talked, I think, a fair amount sort of about the outside backer position in terms of, in that coming from high school to college, and there's just so much difference there and so much transition, and I think each one of those guys, and you throw KD into that mix as well, they bring something probably a little bit different. And you'd say, hey, if all three of them right now were one body, then okay, you might be able to have them in the game rolling, but they're all sort of developing different parts of their game, and they each do something a little bit different, which is exciting for me because I think down the line, we're going to have three really good players there, and they're freshmen. They're figuring out, they're figuring out college. They're figuring out the speed of SEC football. They're figuring out a lot of things. How to be on time, how to live by yourself. Now you got a roommate and all that, but they're starting to turn the corner. And so that was positive, and it'll be really good. In a couple of weeks you'll have a second bye week, and you get to do it again, and you get to reassess. And so it's nice to have basically two reassessments, in a season. That's rare.
The short yard struggles on offense for the offense. Is there anything you guys do in practice to help to try to get that sorted out on their side?
No, the bottom line is our offense is a really good offense, and they stress us every day, and hopefully we can provide them a little bit of stress that makes them better on game day. We've got plenty of issues that we've got to fix on our side, and hopefully we can get those tightened up, and that can show on Saturday. But they're going to be just fine, and they've got great coaches over there, really good players, an experienced offensive line that takes a lot of pride, and it's been good. And I can speak on the energy that we've had, but when we do competitive periods, you can see the energy and the juice that they've got. So again, I think the bye week's been good for everybody.
What's the one area you'd like to see tightened up the most going into this one?
There's a lot. I think over this next stretch, I'd like to be more consistent on third down. We finally had a little bit of success there in the South Carolina game, but still we're not anywhere near where we want to be. You know, we did really well in the run game early in the season, and then you know these last 2 games, you know, not nearly as good as we want. So again, we've just got to get better as a whole.
Can you talk about Arkansas's offense and what you see from them?
Yeah, they're really variable on first and second down. They can do a lot of different things to stress you. You know, the Starkel's a really talented quarterback with a live arm, a really big body. Everybody saw when Hicks was able to come in that A&M game, and he's a guy that's been in that system for a long time, you know, being at SMU, so he knows, and he was really efficient. So they've got 2 really good operators. Boyd is a really talented running back. He reminds me of the 2 that we just saw from South Carolina, a little bit of a one cut, but really physical. He'll drop his pads. You know, we've got to tackle better than we did in South Carolina. So you talk about things that we need to tighten up. You know, that was an area of focus for us, and it'll be huge this week. And the receivers, they're for Arkansas. They're younger, but they're talented, and they've got a chance to be a really good group, especially in the future, just being a really, really talented group. But they've got a couple of freshmen that they keep getting better every week, like in the Burks kid, and they've got some coming back, you know, that can really run, that have been out this year. So no, it'll be a really good test for us across the board, you know. But again, first and second down is going to be really crucial. You know, we've got to get ourselves in a situation where we can get off the field and create some short fields for the offense.
Brett, how encouraging was it to see Boogie Watson pick up a couple sacks?
Yeah, you know what? I think everybody sort of leans on the sack portion of it, and for me, it wasn't so much the sacks that he got, but the level of his play was elevated. And you know, I think, like I said after the South Carolina game, it was it encouraging to see? Yes. Was it surprising to see? No. That's the kind of young man he is, and he didn't need. I know a lot's been made up of it. You know, we talked, but it wasn't something that it was a surprise to him. He demands as much of himself as anybody, any one of us. So he knew he wasn't playing at the level that he would expect of himself, or what we need him to play at. And, that elevation was good, but it's not the pinnacle. We need him to continue to push his play and be a leader for us, because we've got some really big games ahead of us.
Am I good?